Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co., and this is News and Week in Review, and yes, we are catching up on all the news from last week. Well, most of the news from last week. There were a whole bunch of things from, like, Renegade Games that there were just too many. Like, they have Power Rangers announcements and RPG. Honestly, Renegade Games has, like, a great press list, and they send out a lot of, like, updates and things, and sometimes it's a little too much, especially when you're running a week behind. But they do lots of things. Power Rangers, G.I. Joe, they're doing Axe and Allies. In fact, actually, I still do have Renegade Games news this week, because some of them I did find more personally interesting, and so we're talking about those. But with that, a whole bunch of things to cover today, including the fact that we'll be announcing the first winner for the giveaway. For the giveaway that I did with, like, a bunch of Lacerda games and Hoplomachus Victorum. We'll talk about that in a minute. Actually, we'll talk about we'll talk about that now. Let's start off with that. In fact, so basically, in case you missed it, I did a giveaway video giving away 6 Lacerdas and Hoplomachus Victorum. I did that about, I don't know, a month or so ago, somewhere around that range. What's the date? Yeah, like just under a month ago. And basically what's happening is I'm giving away a Lacerda game every 500 subs on the road to 50k. I'm currently at 47.5. We just crossed 47.5. That's the first milestone. Also, thank you all. I appreciate it. But at 47.5, at 48, at 48.5, at 49, 49.5, and at 50, that's going to be 6 Lacerda games being given away. Additionally, over on Camp Co-op, which is currently at 1,750 subs or so, when that hits 2,000 subs, just another 250 subs, I'll be giving away Hoplomachus Victorum, including some metal dice. I'm throwing in some metal dice. I don't think I told you that, but let's do it. Let's throw in some of the cool metal dice for Hoplomachus Victorum at the same time. But that's going to be as far as what's going on there. You can check out this video. I'll link to it down below. You can check it out for the details. The point right now is we hit 47.5, which means the first giveaway winner is eligible, and that's going to be Helen K. Helen K, if you won, I'll reply to your comment as well, but make sure to go ahead and reach out to me at alex@boardgameco.com. Please do not reply to any scammers in the comments to say that you won. The only person who's commenting that you won will be me, and I'll say Board Game Co. It will not say anything else, Telegram or this or that, and then email me if you actually want to be eligible. Don't actually, just alex@boardgameco.com, Helen K, and you get your first pick of the Euros that are available. There's 6 of them. You get to pick one, and then from there we'll go to the next person the next time when we hit 48. And again, you're all still eligible for that. Just comment on this linked video. And with that, let's go ahead and start off with the various news pieces. There's a whole bunch of things to go into. Starting off, and some of them are news, some of them are things I'm doing with other channels. And in the case of this one, Foster the Meeple. March 4th, Foster the Meeple is going to be doing an all-day gaming session, and I'll be playing Lost Runes of Arnak with them over on, it's going to be online, but I'll be playing Lost Runes of Arnak on BGA with Foster the Meeple, with Jeff and Jamie and Professor Meg. And so, if you want to check that out, they'll be doing a whole day stream. I'll link to their channel down below. Fantastic channel. Jeff and Jamie are absolutely amazing. The banter, the humor, the way they... I like channels that give a different spin or feel than other things. And to that end, my favorite channels all feel uniquely different from each other. They all bring something different to what I get out of board game coverage. They're not all like, here's a good review. Sometimes they're entertaining. Sometimes they're comfy. Sometimes they're just more informative in a certain genre. Sometimes they have the best graphic, the best, B-roll or whatever it is. All the channels that I like the most are all best in class at something. And that's why I watch those channels. And Jeff and Jamie, just the banter they have, absolutely fantastic channel. I highly recommend checking them out. They might not be for you. If you like your more precise, dry board game content, and I don't mean that negatively, they're a little bit more focused on the banter and the humor, but I like that, and that's why I watch them. But also I'll be hanging out with them, trading jokes and digs as one of us is losing, or some of us are losing, 3 of us are losing, and one of us is winning in Lost Runes of Arnak. And they're doing all-day gaming as well. From there we have, moving over to War of the Ring over on Dice Tower. Dice Tower, speaking of what I get out of channels, honestly the Dice Tower to this date is still the channel that I go to for the broadest range of just informative opinions out there. I don't always agree with them, but I agree with them enough that I get value from their content. Meaning I agree with them, I don't know, 80% of the time, and that means that when they like something or dislike something, it is a good metric to my own opinion and helps me gauge things. I love the Dice Tower. I always have, and I was about to say I always will, but that's a commitment I'm not willing to make. I always have, and I expect that I always will. We're not talking about them for that. Honestly, the reason we're talking about them today is because I just like the title of their video. We have War of the Ring, the card game review. What about Second War of the Ring? I'm sorry. The Dice Tower has been leaning heavily into puns in the past maybe 6 to 12 months. They've been adding puns to their video titles. This is the single best video title I have seen in board gaming ever. War of the Ring, the card game review. What about Second War of the Ring? It's brilliant. Whoever came up with this at the Dice Tower Studio, kudos to you. I love this title so much that I decided to talk about it just for that. Also, I should probably watch this, but I don't feel the need to because I already know their opinions on this one, and I'll be getting my hands on a copy of this to try it out and see if it works for me or not. If I can't play War of the Ring, at least I can play War of the Ring, the card game. Then moving on from there, we have Board Game Geek News. This one is disappointing. Gloomhaven has fallen to the number 3 game of all time. And if you're like the number 3 game of all time, I thought it just got beaten by Brass. What happened after that? Well, Pandemic Legacy Season 1 is now beating Gloomhaven. Why? Because people got their... There's no way to say this politely. People are upset, and people are taking out... I don't know. People are being children. Imagine that. A bunch of people who value, you know, just hundreds and hundreds and thousands of dollars worth of toys all around them. Sometimes they're children. And I take it back. I apologize. That was a mean and antagonistic thing to say towards general board gamers, of which I am one. Most of us are adults. Some of us are not. And that includes every single person who is review bombing these games. Right now, over on Board Game Geek, Brass overtook Gloomhaven, and then Gloomhaven briefly overtook Brass again. And this has resulted in a back and forth spiral where people are not rating games based on, hey, I think I should rate that game. Rather, they're rating games in some sort of effort to affect the rankings, which is childish. And the worst part is most of them are the exact same people who have a problem with, oh, BGG rankings don't mean anything. Well, if you think that and you rate one of these games a 1 or a 10 just for the sake of doing so, you're part of the problem. And if you're someone who's like, well, you know what, normally I don't really rate games, but it really is a 1 to me, I just happen to not get around to it, poppycock, okay? If you rated it a 10 for that reason, sure, I'll grant you. These are both amazing games. If you've been holding off, like I'm someone who doesn't really rate games on BGG much. If I went ahead and rated one of these a 10 because like I want my voice to be cast into the mix, I can at least get behind that. But to rate one of these games a 1, we both know they're not a 1. You want to go in there and rate one of them a 5 or a 6 or whatever your experience with it was. Still a little childish, but fine, go for it. But the ones in here are just insane. If I seem like I'm a little bit uptight about this, honestly, I couldn't really care less as far as the actual ranking system on BGG. Number 1 versus number 2 versus number 3 is impactful in the sense that it is a metric in time. And as far as the publishers are concerned, these things are good for sales. Brass Birmingham is going to get extra sales and extra press because of this whole controversy going on. They're sure they're thrilled about it. But as far as the actual impact to my life, it's none, but I do think it's childish to rate games in some sort of weird rating war, to the point that Gloomhaven has been review bombed enough that now it's below Pandemic Legacy Season 1. Cue the angry horde of, you know, Gloomhaven people who are going to go rate Pandemic Legacy Season 1 and Brass and a never-ending cycle. Well, it will end eventually, because there's only so much review bombing before you run out of the people who are willing to do this, and then the ratings eventually will normalize once again. Eventually. I don't know exactly what the next few months will look like, and we'll see. But yeah, that's what's going on BGG. So, doesn't actually matter at all, but a little bit annoying. Anyways, moving on from there, we have Books of Time. Books of Time coming to you from Board and Dice. This is going to be, I don't know if it's going to be a Kickstarter or not, but this is another game they announced recently. History of humankind has been written down for thousands of years. Our technological achievements, geographical discoveries, you're missing an A in technological achievements, you're missing a space in technological achievements, by the way, and our will to prosper are weaved into intricate threads, and you're missing a space between intricate and threads. Board and Dice, just... side rant. I'm sorry I'm doing rants to this. Wasn't planned. General note to any designer, publisher, rules editor at all, anyone who designs websites, all that, Grammarly is your friend. By the way, I like Board and Dice. It's not actually a rant. It's more of a instructional kind of conversation or helpful tip. Grammarly is your friend. No, I'm not sponsored by Grammarly. Perhaps I should be. I'll reach out to Grammarly. But Grammarly is going to run you like, I don't know, $90 a year or something like that, which is a lot if you're just, you know, writing emails to your friends, but it's not a lot if you're doing things like websites and rule books and all those things. Grammarly can help spot stupid small mistakes like this. It won't necessarily catch everything, although it's very good at catching a lot of nuance in terms of things, but it'll cover and catch a lot of simple, stupid mistakes that just don't need to exist in rulebooks, in websites, and all these things. Grammarly is your friend. Use it if you are someone who's putting out printed content like this. I don't even think it's that big a deal for an email, by the way. For an email, you mess up an email, you miss a space, who cares? But for like rulebooks and like websites, rulebooks more so, by the way, because those are printed. Like, rulebooks are stuck now. A website, at least you can go ahead and update it. What's the big deal? Either way, I'm getting sidetracked. What is up with me today? I don't know what's happening. I think the whole BGG thing got me, like, in my, like, rant mode. So now I'm on my pedestal, which is, like, the same height as my chair, weirdly enough, and just doing things. Let's find out what else goes through this as we go through the rest of these topics of here. There's no topic of the week, by the way, because there's so much news that there's no topic of the week. So I'm getting all my, preaching done now. We have Apex Legends board game coming soon to a tabletop near you. This is coming to you from Glass Cannon, from Glass Cannon Unplugged, who did Frostpunk the board game. They are bringing Apex Legends, I believe, May 17th, I want to say. May 17th. Yes, May 17th is coming to Kickstarter. This is going to be a board game with miniatures and super cool, and I am 100% skeptical while also acknowledging that the people behind Frostpunk, behind Glass Cannon, they have done, they've done this War of Mine and they've done Frostpunk, so they're doing just fine as far as putting out great games that are well received. But anytime someone puts out a first-person type shooter adaptation, I am skeptical. Most of the time I've been proven wrong. That's not true. Some of the time I've been proven wrong. So for example, I love Six Siege. I did not love Far Cry. So that's 50% of the time so far. I think there have been others. I'm intrigued. I am very intrigued. I am very interested. It's a video game adaptation, which I don't mind. It's more the first-person shooter kind of conversation. And I don't love the concept of like season passes, which are basically just expansions, but like how frequently or how are they doing it? I don't know. Color me incredibly excited, incredibly intrigued, and like a good 25% skeptical until I sit down and play it, just because, I mean, you should be. Adaptations are adaptations. They're being drawn in by the IP, and whether or not they work is an entirely different conversation, but we'll see. I'm excited for it, despite being a little bit skeptical at the same time. Then we have over on Pecktec Games, he did an interview. He actually did 2 interviews. He did an interview with Quackalope, and he did an interview with myself. You can check those out. Those are over on Pecktec Games. He does a bunch of board game related content, and he's in Cleveland, and so he hung out with both myself and Jesse, interviewed us both. You can check out both of those over there. And then we have Pandasaurus has their newest game coming out, Roller Coaster Rush from Scott Alms. I mean, I'll play it because it's Scott Alms and it's Pandasaurus, and those two things are automatically giving you a good or better game. Now, great is a different conversation. That I'll play to find out, but Roller Coaster Rush, I'm intrigued. We have Cyclades Legendary Edition. This should have been the first news piece. This should have been the news piece from last week, honestly. This, I mean, I knew this was coming. It's just not like news, but it's news because it's announced. Bruno Cathala's Cyclades, I used to call it, I don't even know what I used to call it, but Cyclades. Let's go with Cyclades. I think that's correct. This is one of my favorite games, and has held its own just fine. They contrasted with Kemet. Kemet has actually gone down a bit for me. Still top 100, but because it's kind of more comparable to Blood Rage, and Blood Rage is a game that I prefer, and my game group prefers, Kemet has just sees less and less playtime as the years go by, despite me loving it. But Cyclades has held its own just fine. Cyclades is up there with Blood Rage, with Inish, with Kemet, with Rurik, not Kemet, with Blood Rage, with Inish, with DEI, with these amazing experiences, and I love Cyclades, and this is going to be a day one back for me, basically no matter what. Could it be a horrible disappointment compared to the original? Maybe. Do I need it? I mean, the original is amazing as is, I don't need it, but also, I'm intrigued because it's Cyclades, and it's gonna be cool. What are these map tiles? What are this modular board situation? Okay, I'm more excited now. I mean, give me cool miniatures, give me a modular board, give me a reason to pay attention. This is almost certainly a day one back. Cyclades is amazing, by the way. Like, I reviewed that a while ago, before I had, like, overhead cam and everything. Incredible game. Check it out. Anyways, moving on to the Last Kingdom board game. Another adaptation, this time from a TV show, but more importantly, from John D. Clare. John D. Clare and Gamelin Games are announced the Last Kingdom board game, coming to, I assume, to Kickstarter, honestly. I don't actually know. Into retail. No, they're releasing... Nope, wait, no, that's Vikings. Last Kingdom board, I don't know, does it say it on here? I assume it's Kickstarter. The retail part was about Tiny Epic Vikings, which, by the way, my favorite Gamelin Games game. But anyways, yeah, The Last Kingdom, coming from John D. Clare and Gamelin Games. A good combination of peoples over there. We have Heroes of the Pacific coming soon to Kickstarter, I assume, from Battle for Guadalcanal, from Devil Peak Games. That'll be coming shortly. We have, over here, Spielworks announcing the Ryan Courtney collection. Ryan Courtney, famous for a bunch of games, including Pipeline, including the other games that I'm not immediately recalling to mind. We might have that stuff over here. He's done a bunch of things over here. A bunch of things that I've enjoyed, including he did that Hiking Trails game. It might be called Hiking Trails. He did Pipeline. He did the other Factory one, the 2-player one, and he's done a bunch of other games as well that I'm just not currently coming to mind. But either way, this is going to be, Spielworks is going to be working with him on a line of games from him, which is cool. That's awesome. And then we have over here, we have Axis and Allies from Renegade Games. Basically, Axis and Allies has picked up a few older title lines. I announced Acquire a while ago. They acquired the rights to Acquire. And they also have acquired the rights to Axis and Allies. And they're going to be putting out a bunch of Axis and Allies games, which is very cool. I mean, I don't particularly want to play Axis and Allies, but it is cool that it's being brought back in by like a more modern board game publisher. So I'm happy to see those. It's very cool. I imagine it's cool to be at Renegade Games and to have your logo on Axis and Allies. I think it's cool. Good for them. Then from there, we have over on GameFound, we have a Tiny Tables campaign. These are tiny tables. They're exactly what they look like. They could be dice trays, they could be component holders, they could just be little furniture you keep around for all the little ant people that are that go to the school for ants. These are tiny tables that just check it out. It's an upcoming campaign for tiny tables. I don't know what else to say. It's tiny tables. And then we have over here, we have Potions of Azerland. Potions of Azerland, what do I have another title thingy? Oh, that's what, I have two more. Potions of Azerland. This is an upcoming game with art by Andrew Bosley, designed by Gray Baker. Gray Baker has actually won 2 of the rings at WSBG. So, yeah, Potions of Azerland. Looks phenomenal, looks incredible. I mean, look at that cover. That just looks cool. But past that, the game itself, don't know anything about. We'll have to see that part later. And then lastly, we have Star Wars deck building game. Star Wars bringing a deck building game to your table. Don't know much about it. I'm sure at some point I'll pick it up or check it out or take a look at it. It's not an LCG, it's a deck building game. So different conversation as far as that. And that is what we have as far as the news. So let's go ahead and stop that. And we're skipping topic of the week because, like I said already, there's enough news to skip the topic of the week. But let's go ahead and dive into the week in review, starting off with an update to my 12x12 challenge. As of last week, I had 20 games out of my 144 games played, and right now I'm up to 32. So 32 of the 144. Basically 12 games played 12 times. As of last week, I had played 12 games of Arnak already. Minor update to that, which is I've also since played it solo. Now I think I just need to play it campaign. I need to play the solo campaign, and then at that point, I think I'll be doing an update video on Arnak. Lawsuits of Arnak. Been playing it a chunk of times, all in a very quick session, with the expansion, without the expansion, playing it solo, playing it online, playing at different player counts. Maybe I'll wait till my 4-player game with Jeff and Jamie and whatnot and see about it. I don't know. We'll see. I want to play it a few more times in a few different configurations, but as far as my 12 plays, already knocked them out. Then we have a Feast for Odin. As of last week, I had 3 plays under my belt. I have all 12 under my belt right now. I'm not ready to review it again, though, yet, because I still want to play it with the Norwegians expansion, which you can see over here. But a Feast for Odin, I played it solo. I played it at 2 players, at 4 players. I played it 3 players. I have played it with some of the modular board expansions. So I played in a bunch of configurations. I think the only thing left is to play it with the Norwegians expansion, and then I'll be ready to recover it again. But I've got to my full 12 plays of Feast for Odin already done. BGA makes some of these things ridiculously easy. Like, I'm making good numbers right now, but that's going to slow down once I run out of BGA games on my 12x12 challenge. We have 4 games of Teneris under my belt so far. 4 games of it. I had 2 games as of last week. I have 2 more now, so that's 4 titles, 4 games played of Teneris. I'll be doing a first impressions video shortly enough, probably in the next week or 2, but there's going to be a first impressions and then later a review. The problem is a review probably needs 15, 20 plays or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But either way, I'll have a first impressions of Teneris Adventures coming shortly, and over the next week or so, I'm sure we'll continue to see a few more plays. We have DEI, which I think was at 3 plays last week. It's now at 4 plays, so it's currently, that's well done. I just continues talking, but no, it's at 4 plays now. No major modifications there. That's one that I don't know what I'm going to do as far as expansion content. I definitely want to cover some of the expansion content, but there's so much stuff going on that I don't think, I mean, even 12 plays might not be enough to cover all the various modules and things. I'll do what I do, and then we'll eventually talk about it again. I have a review coming for it as well this week, so we can check that out. And that is as far as my update on my 12x12 challenge. 32 plays into my 144 plays required, and we'll continue talking about it as we go through it. As far as games, as far as what I played this week, or more specifically, picking a few games to focus on from what I played, I'm going to start with Gloomhaven. And in fact, I'm going to be talking about all 3 of these are going to be dungeon crawlers to an extent. But Gloomhaven is one that I have continued to be diving into, playing it primarily online over on Camp Co-op. We stream it every Tuesday and Thursday, and it's one that I'm very much enjoying, but I'm also getting to the point where I'm ready for the adventure to end. I've played through a lot of Gloomhaven, and I've loved so much of it. It is my most played game. In terms of hours played of any game system I have, Gloomhaven takes the cake. Although I think if you add up all my Zombicides together, I think all my Zombicides together beat anything else. But you'd have to count up each different Zombicide. So I think that actually takes the cake technically. But if it doesn't, Gloomhaven is either there or close by. And also you'd have to add Frosthaven and Gloomhaven and Jaws of the Lion if you're playing that game. But either way, Gloomhaven is my most played game of all time in terms of hours played in a system. And that makes sense because I've been playing it like twice a week for the past like 8 months or something like that. And so it is a very, very solid game. One that I'm very much enjoying many aspects of. And I'm ready for that adventure to end. I want to dive back into various aspects of the adventure. I'm happy with Frosthaven as well, and I'd love to dive into Crimson Scales, Forgotten Circles, all those things. I would love to dive into all of it. But as far as Gloomhaven's concerned, I've played as maybe 6 or 7 characters by now. I've enjoyed them to various degrees. I've fallen in love with 2 of them, enjoyed lightly 2 of them, and not been the biggest fan of 2 or 3 of them. And I still have more to explore in that system. Maybe I'll be diving into 1 or 2 more characters. The nature of Gloomhaven, the way the prosperity system works, is you'll spend your most time with your first character. So your first character might be, I'm just going to make up numbers here, it might be 20 hours of gameplay. And then your next character might be 17 hours of gameplay. And your next character might be 13 hours of gameplay. The nature of the leveling system and how much things are going on there is it means that you level up faster and you can get more done faster, and you can look for opportunities to retire faster because you've seen enough of your character. And so it means each character I see progressively less time with it. Right now I'm playing through the Demolitionist, and Demolitionist, I'm already ready to move on from Demolitionist, even though I've only just barely started playing her. But overall, I like the system. But there are aspects of playing it online that have led to frustrations with the system at the same time. There are times where we're stuck on the same mission for, 3 or 4 games in a row, and then it just feels like a slog to dive into as opposed to something enjoyable. And there's times where you have to punch through that wall, and we can't just skip it. Like in a physical game, if I was getting exhausted with the scenario, I'd be like, we won, move on. Because I play games to have fun, and being stuck replaying the same scenario isn't fun. And so I would just skip it. I would cheat. I would tilt that die. There's no dice in Gloomhaven. I would redraw that initiative card. I would do those things when we're having a scenario that feels like it's getting to be less of a challenge and more of just unfun. So I love the system. I love playing digitally. I think it's still the best way to play because of setup and accessibility and all that. But it's one that I'm ready to move on to the next campaign game, whatever that might be. It might make camp co-op streaming a drop harder because playing digitally actually has many perks as far as compared to playing it physically. But there's lots of games I want to dive into. Lots of campaign games. I'm very excited. We'll see what happens next. Next up from there we have Tenaris Adventures. Tenaris Adventures, you can expect a full first impressions video, maybe another 2 or 3 plays in. I don't know how many plays I want or need, but maybe 2 or 3 more plays. But for right now, Tenaris Adventures, first impressions right now is that it's still the arena the contest that I love, with more of a progression, more of a world building, and more of a choose an adventure things behind that system. So overall, I think it's bringing improvements to the table, but it's doing so with a terrible tutorial. Like I know how to play the game, and the tutorial is not the best. It has you reading a lot of sections in lots of order, and you're referencing 3 different sections of the rulebook, plus multiple stacks of cards in terms of trying to get the information. There's a quest guide, there's 2 sections to the quest guide, there's a journal, there's a city book, and you have to reference all of that besides the rules, not even counting the rules, and then you have quest cards and adventure cards, whatever it is. There's all these things going on as far as just where you have to constantly be jumping between, which means the table space of just the reference area is a lot. So I have complaints, but make no mistake, it's still the arena of the contest that I love, and it's doing that in a way that still gives you a ton of great things. I just wish they had possibly condensed it to a drop fewer things as far as how much stuff is going on there. But I'm having a great time. I'm enjoying myself, and I'm eager to dive back in, as I have been ever since I first played Tenaris long time ago. And then lastly, we have the Phantom Epoch. This is one where I had a chance to play online. This is one I'll be covering more, so what you're getting here is a first impressions of half a play, not even a full play. But it's kind of giving you a Gloomhaven adjacent universe. A Gloomhaven adjacent because there's plenty of things that make it stand out very differently from Gloomhaven, but it also has card play and hand management and, 40 missions and character involvement and all that stuff. Right now, it kind of strikes me as being a bit more accessible than Gloomhaven in some ways, giving you a little bit more different fun abilities and other things in other ways. Overall, and I really like the enemy system they have in play as far as how the enemies have multiple cards that kind of combine to activate in different ways. There's also a fun push to luck system as far as how you roll dice and how you assign damage and what you want to do there. For right now, Phantom Epoch, I'm not prepared to give a review or first impressions past saying that I enjoyed my half a game of it, and I'm eager to dive into the prototype when it shows up. They'll be relaunching on Kickstarter sometime, I don't know exactly when, but they'll be relaunching at some point, and I will definitely be covering it, and I'm curious. It's going to be a first impressions coverage. The nature of these games, it's very hard to ever call it a review when you're like, if it's got 40 missions and I play 5 of them, be quiet, computer. If it's got 40 missions and I play 5 of them, I'm not going to call it a review. And so that's where we are with Phantom Epoch. Intrigued, excited, expect a first impressions video at some point before the next relaunch. And that's what I have as far as the What I Played coverage, which brings us to the Week in Review. The Week in Review starting off with this past Saturday. This past Saturday, I did a first impressions of Ascension Tactics. That's one where I actually played the game enough to kind of call it a review, but I didn't play the different play modes enough, which is why I didn't want to call it a review. There's cooperative play, there's solo play, there's a bunch of different scenarios. We only had a single scenario in the Ascension Tactics, specifically Ascension Tactics Inferno. Overall, enjoyed it. I gave it a 4 out of 5. I really liked it, although it is interesting because I do wonder if I would prefer to play, I'd just prefer to play Dominion over it. I really liked it, but as far as skirmish deck building games go, I liked it a lot. As far as do I really overall crave that compared to just playing a skirmish game or just playing a solid deck building game, that I don't know. Later on Saturday, I did a review for Encountered Shattered Wastes. This one I really enjoyed, with small caveats. Overall, Encountered Shattered Wastes is a very solid puzzly game where you're controlling up to 4 characters, and I gave it a 4 to 5. I really like the puzzle of the different bosses you're facing off against, and apparently the creator emailed me. They're actually going to have, one of my complaints was the difficulty scaling is in the boss variety. So, you know, the bosses have difficulty scaling, which means once you get better at the game, the easier bosses are kind of phased out. But apparently they're actually adding location-based difficulty, so you can kind of mix and match the different types of difficulty to give you that more wider variable access to the content. Overall, I really enjoyed it, with the small caveat that I've occasionally had matchups that just were a little bit less fun. It kind of needs a good combination. Like, I've tried playing it at smaller player counts, probably should have said this in the review. I've tried playing it at lower player counts, meaning just controlling 2 characters, and I'd rather control 4 characters solo than 2 characters. I find I just have more control over the different ways things interweave, and I found that I played it twice now with 2 characters and didn't find that quite as enjoyable. Interestingly enough, I've never played it with 3. It's always been 2 or 4. But yeah, that's Encounter Shattered Wastes. On Sunday, I had a video of why I don't chase promos. This is just a conversational topic as to why I am someone who very much goes all in on things. I don't like going partially in. I like going all in. If you show me the game and you show me more of the game, I want more of the game, because if I want the game, I want more of the game. To be very clear, irrational. I don't recommend that viewpoint. Very, very bad. But what I find interesting is I have that viewpoint, but I don't find myself finding that with promos. With promos, I kind of just let them go. If they show up, great. If they don't, they don't. And this is a video as to why, the various reasons I have as to why I don't chase promos, although I got a few comments from people who pointed out a reason I didn't cover is that sometimes promos don't have the same balance as other things present in games, which I agree with and disagree with. I agree with that logic, but trust me, that logic doesn't stop me from wanting every single stretch goal of every single Command Kickstarter ever, and I think those are balanced with the same level that a promo is. So, you know, I agree with the reasoning, while I don't apply that one equally. Then later on Sunday, I had an unboxing for the Hunters A.D. There's going to be a reckoning coming soon. A reckoning coming in the form of a video where I go over like the 40 or so big box games that are all like campaign or story based or something, whatever it is. There's a lot of game systems I have that I just cannot justify playing them all. I kind of want to play them all, but I cannot justify playing them all, and I think I'm going to try to cut out like 10 of them. Granted, going from 40 to 30 does not make my problem go away, but it makes my problem about 25% less impactful. So I don't know what's going to happen. The Hunters A.D. is one that I just don't know. I want to play it, but will I prioritize it over other games? I just don't know. But we'll find out. But either way, it was an unboxing of a Hunters A.D. I do want to play it, but I just don't know. Then on Monday I did a video, instead of doing a 2 back not to back, I did a video of my highest rated Kickstarter games, specifically the 11 games that I have rated a 5 out of 5 that I personally backed on Kickstarter. I say personally backed because games like Tenaris Adventures, Arena of the Contest, for example, I didn't back Arena of the Contest, and so I didn't include Arena or any expansions. I didn't back Cloudspire, I didn't back Too Many Bones. There are a few games that I did not back those games, and so I didn't count them. These are specifically the 11 games that I personally backed on Kickstarter that I gave a 5 out of 5, including how much I spent on those games, kind of just giving you a range. You know, you can go as low as $60 for Brass Birmingham, and then as high as, I don't remember the highest one. It's like around $200. I don't remember the highest one. Maybe it's $300. Was it OS one? Maybe it's OS one at $300. That might have been it. I think OS one at $300 was the most expensive from those game systems that I backed and gave a 5 out of 5. Then from there, that is that's where we are there. Where are we next? I am talking about, I'm just lost my train of thought. Monday, that was Monday. Tuesday we had a review for Street Fighter. A 4 to 5, really enjoyed it. I got a comment in the video that I haven't replied to yet, but I'll reply to it now. Someone said Zombicide or this, and the answer is Zombicide. Honestly, Street Fighter, much as I enjoy it, does fall into the category where it's kind of, mentally it's occupying the same space as Cthulhu Death May Die, as Zombicide, as some of these other game systems. So I am curious. I'll be following along with the GameFound campaign to see what else is there. If it's just what I saw, then I both really enjoy it, while also acknowledging that it's competing in a specific genre with a very specific feel to it that I get 5 out of 5s for. And so basically it's miniatures and enemies and then dice rolling, and it's got standees instead of miniatures, which makes it visually a drop less appealing. The theme is Street Fighter, which I just don't care for at all, and the gameplay is very good, but I prefer Zombicide. So it's a 4 to 5. I do enjoy it, I do recommend it, but also for me, I don't yet know, like I don't know if it's one that I'm going to bother backing. Like I hope they send me a copy. I might not back it because I'm trying to be more conscious of I'm trying to be more conscious of my money as I spend it on these games, and that one is a 4 to 5 in a genre where I have a few 5 out of 5s already. Then later on Tuesday we had Kuiperium, a review for Kuiperium. That one is a solid one. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. I like the overall worker placement puzzle, while I had some critiques at the same time, especially graphic design critiques. I did not, and I hope it's not, you know, final stuff. I hope it's all just prototype things. But yeah, overall 3.5 out of 5 in this 2-player head-to-head worker placement puzzle. And then lastly on Tuesday we had a review for Souls of Ankiril, not a review, I apologize, a preview for Souls of Ankiril, done by Devin. This is a 2-player head-to-head game where you have 6 different elements and you have different battle boxes as you go head-to-head, casting various creatures onto the board. They're also making it into an app, so they have an app and a board game of this system, Souls of Ankiril. And that was the last thing on Tuesday. No review there. This was preview content done by Devin. And then on Wednesday we had Blitzkrieg versus Caesar, a play this not that between those 2 games. Short version is I prefer Caesar, but you can watch the video for more context, and Devin's a little bit more mixed in those. But I like both games a lot, but I just purely prefer Caesar over Blitzkrieg. Fantastic games otherwise, though. Then later on Wednesday, we had a live show, this time with Jenna. It was a live show about, well, we had a game show, we had our general game pick of the week, and then we also had a conversation around ways that gaming can be problematic for your life. Board gaming can be problematic for your life. But it also had a special guest, Jenna from the Board Game Garden. So if you want to see, her on the show, and I highly recommend her channel in general, check that out. Check out the live stream, and then check out her channel and all that. And then lastly, on Wednesday, we had a second gameplay for Zombicide Undead or Alive. This was a while ago. I did a gameplay of Zombicide Undead or Alive, Mission 2, and this was us tackling again, seeing if we could win, and you'll have to watch that to find out if we did, or if we lost horribly again. We'll see. There'll be more Zombicide Undead or Alive gameplays. Honestly, it's an excuse to hang out with my friend, and there's enough interest in the gameplays that there'll probably be more of those, so check those out if you want. Then on Thursday, and this is where the schedule gets a little hazy because there might have been some things rearranged, but Thursday, I believe on Thursday, we had an announcement for a board game convention. Basically, we're doing a board game convention, Level Up Retreat, which I'm going to be hosting. Level Up Retreat, which is going to be in the tri-state area. This is going to be July 14th through 16th, I want to say. July 14th through 16th. You can check it out. Also, there'll be a link down below as well, and in that video, where you can go ahead and pop your email in if you want to be notified of the early bird pricing. That's going to be a very short window. The early bird pricing is going to be like maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks, and you have to lock in your email. This is not a commitment of any kind. This is just you giving your email, and you will get access to early bird pricing where you can save $10 to $20 on a badge. Again, no commitments. You may as well throw your own email if you're interested at all, and then from there, you can make a decision once the actual tickets go on sale. But yeah, it's a board game convention. We're going to be playing board games. It's going to be, playing board games, have board game panels, special guests, all those fun things. But you can check out Thursday's video, probably Thursday's video. It depends if it actually went up Thursday, if you want to find out more information on that. Then later on Thursday, we had a 2021 games that faded. This is a top 10 list of 2021 games that faded on me. These are games from 2021 that over the course of the year and a half, they slowly went down, in my opinion, to some small degree. You can check out that if you want to see some of the titles, including one that was also in my best games of 2021 and is also in my 2021 games that faded. Feel free to check that out. And then on Friday we had board game upgrades. A video for board game upgrades going up, basically going through, as you might imagine, board game upgrades specifically for the Laser Ox Frosthaven, goodies and extra. So you can check that out if you want to see that. And then later on Friday we had a Scarface 1920 unboxing. It finally arrived. I did an unboxing, as I want to do with games that I like or enjoy or just cool enough or whatever it is. Which brings us to today. Today we have a few things. We have a preview for Temple Raiders going up. This is not a Kickstarter, this is a retail game, but a preview nonetheless, done by Devin as well. And then later we have a Reviving Kathmandu review going up. That's currently on Kickstarter, and I have a review going up later today. Which brings us to next week. Next week there's a bunch of things. First of all, there's going to be an unboxing of Casting Shadows, more specifically a family unboxing. I think it's whimsical and charming and a little chaotic, and you might enjoy it, or it might not be your thing at all, because I got 4 kids trying to unbox the game with me. It gets a little crazy. Then later this week I'll have a DEI review. I've been loving DEI and I want to talk about it and I want to let you know. So DEI has a review coming later this week. And then lastly we have board games leaving for February. Basically once a month I do a video on the board games leaving for that month, and this is my one for February. This one was actually picking a hard picks. I got a lot of comments that in January there were a lot of games, but none of them felt like they were hard choices. You're not wrong. In February there's fewer games and most of them are hard choices. Games come in, which means games have to leave. That's just the way it works. It's just math. I try to keep my collection at a reasonable level, and to me, reasonable is generally around 250 to 300 games, which for some people is like, you're insane, that's not reasonable, that's a problem, and other people are like, yeah, it's pretty reasonable. So it depends on who you are. I think with the nature of the amount of games I play, I think that's pretty decent as far as managing to have some degree of self-control going on. And then that's basically it, which brings us to the games on the table. Games on the table, we have a few things. As usual, these are the games that I hope to be playing this week. And we first of all have Nightfall from Red Raven Games, which I hope to be playing this week, because it's here. I have the rulebook. I'm going to be on a plane. I'm going to be flying. I'm going to be reading the rules, trying to figure out how to play it. We'll see it. We'll figure it out. We have Pagan Fate of Roanoke, which I played a long time ago on TTS, and I want to play this in the finals, like a 2-player deduction game with like head-to-head witch hunting situation. I really enjoyed my one play of it. I'd love to actually play it again. We have Cloudspire. I hope to play this. Will I? I don't know. It's been a while since I played it last, but I like this game. I like it a lot. Cloudspire is what I've got. And then lastly, we have a Feast for Odin Norwegians. I'll be diving into the Norwegians expansion finally for the first time. I've read the rules. I'm good to go. Maybe. I've read the rules. I'm good to go. There's like more stuff you're getting basically. So like it's not crazy. It's just more stuff. It's honestly a pretty easy expansion to read the rules and be prepped to go. And that's basically all I got there. And that's the games that I hope. Those are some of the games I hope to be tabling this week. Which means we're at the end of the video. I appreciate all of you. I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching this far. And as always, I hope you have a good one.